June the 3rd, 2025. Because we've been talking about this low pressure system that's supposed to be forming off the East Coast, and it looks like it will now. And it will be the third named storm of the season, which would become Chantal. You had Andrea that went out into the Atlantic, and then Barry that went into Mexico. Now, my concern was talking about people going to the beach this weekend in the videos from a few days ago and yesterday, I think. But they've got this rough surf and rip current warnings, possible water spouts, and beach erosion warning from Jacksonville up through Savannah to Charleston, Myrtle Beach, and Wilmington. Notice right here it says wind direction because it's a low pressure area, and if it was a hurricane coming in, and this goes all the way up to Kill Devil Hills right here through the Outer Banks also. But if it was a hurricane coming in, you'd have the same anti-clockwise rotation. And again, they're saying going through the weekend, I think Friday through Monday maybe, and we're going to look at the information from the National Hurricane Center, but right now, even if it doesn't strengthen past a tropical depression or storm, because it's going to be there, all of these rough surf and rip current warnings are going to be happening, as well as water spouts and probably tropical type downpours. So you got to be aware of that. The biggest threat right now would be not watching your kids on the beach during this type situation. They can be gone in a minute, and that's a terrifying thing to see on the news after every one of these major holidays. So make sure you're not in that newscast. And there's good news with this. It says current indications are that a zone of clouds and downpours with locally gusty winds may move northward along the mid-Atlantic coast early next week, which could limit a building area of heat from the Midwest. However, just west of the influence of the tropical downpours, heat could be enhanced over the Appalachians. So, guys, along the coastline there, you could see much cooler temperatures. But when you get to the mountains, that's going to be a blocking factor. It's elsewhere in the tropical Atlantic, we talked about this, we see a vast area of dry air, wind shear, and Saharan dust that will limit or prevent tropical development in the short term, and this is not unusual for July. Now, this is a 7-day forecast from the National Hurricane Center down in Miami, and it's changed somewhat. This morning, guys, this X was just offshore, but we have storms that are forming onshore right now. We'll take a look at that, and so that's kind of pushed the formation point or starting point of this thing back onshore and then raking up the coastline. It says at 2 p.m. Eastern near the southeastern U.S., an area of low pressure is forecast to develop along a weakening frontal boundary near Florida or the Atlantic coast of the southern United States on Friday or Saturday. Now, it's saying that environmental conditions appear only marginally conducive for some slow development, but a tropical or subtropical depression could form in this region over the weekend or early next week while the system drifts northward or northeastward. Regardless of development, heavy rainfall is possible across portions of the South U.S., particularly across the west central Florida coast. An Air Force Reserve Hurricane Hunter aircraft is scheduled to investigate the system tomorrow on Friday. They're looking at it very seriously. Let's look at our satellite images. Now, we're looking definitely at a lot of tropical air. Notice the system, it was Barry that went across here. Now there's a hurricane into the Pacific off the coast of Mexico, but it's been pushing this moisture up through Texas for the last few days. In the afternoons, guys, we've got some pretty good downpours here in central Mississippi. But right here is where that X is we just saw on the hurricane map. Check it out. Look, this is going throughout the day, starting to build up right here. And you can see out in this area, there's a wind band being pushed out right here. Now, notice one other thing. Out into the Gulf itself and the storms in Florida and along the East Coast back into this area, everything's moving to the right or to the east. In the upper level air, this wind shear basically. So that may help push it further offshore. If it does, it could still scathe North Carolina up through this area here. We don't know, but by the time it forms, some of this shear could be dying down, back dealing with that high pressure area. We'll just have to wait and see. But definitely, you're starting to see some rain throughout Georgia, possibly headed up towards your Myrtle Beach area. It's still a little offshore here, but right here is going to be the problem. Let's switch this over into infrared for a moment. You can definitely tell from the sun and the heating of the day, guys. Look how clear it is this morning in Florida. Everything seemed to be pushing off here, and that's why they had the X out in this area in the morning forecast. But now we got very tall storms across you guys in Florida. If any of you guys there in this area, Apalachicola on down through there and up into southern Georgia, let us know what your weather is in that area. But this is what we're dealing with. This pushed offshore. Now it's forming here. You're starting to see some storms try to come into the, again, Georgia, South Carolina area. More moisture's pushing from south and north up through Texas, getting caught in the stream, and that's why we're getting these storms. May get some more tonight through Louisiana, Mississippi. Definitely you're getting them in Texas right now, up to getting probably close to the Dallas area. Houston is right there at Galveston Bay. But right now, let's get all the moisture we can get, guys, before we get into some type of drought situation through July and into August. We don't want that. So, and we need both the cooling of the oceans and we need the moisture. We just don't need any kind of super hurricane right now. But this is what we're dealing with. Let me ask you another question. They started the 250th anniversary of the United States. Trump's going to be there, I think, about 7:30 p.m. tonight Central Time, but they've already started some of the pre-stuff. If you guys would like to watch it live, like we've been doing, it won't be as, I doubt there'll be any Democrats there at all, so it may be a lot better. But I think it will be interesting. But if you would like to watch it, let me know in the comments here, and I'll set that live stream up. Anyway, guys, it's a heads up. Be safe. Don't take any chances this weekend with your life or the life of your children. If you're not headed there, but you got some numbskull kids that have your grandkids that don't watch anything but Netflix, give them a call too and say, pay attention to what BP's talking about, or look at the National Hurricane Center or whatever. But we're watching it, guys. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.